PocketGamer.biz. We're at the Develop Conference in Brighton, and we're here with Neil Young from Network. Neil's just given the keynote talk today, and he's been talking about why we haven't hit peak mobile. So Neil, it's, people now say we have, and we should all go off to to leave Middle Earth and go off and, I don't know,
sail west.
Somewhere. Why are you so bullish that there's a lot of space left in the mobile games?
Yeah, I think it's undeniable that we've reached the point where smartphones have been adopted by lots of people in the West and US and Europe. We've certainly and certainly games now are the predominant applications that are used on those devices. But we're really nowhere near the peak of the industry and the peak of the business. If you think about the development of any market, there's sort of two things that happen. The first is the adoption of the technology, and then the second is the revenue that gets generated on a per user basis. And we're really at the very, very beginning of that revenue generation piece. I think there's an opportunity for the industry to be 10 times its size today. If you look at what's happened in other mature mobile markets like Japan, for example, you've seen that same trend. And so I think that's likely to happen here with the right games and the right systems. So that's what we talked about.
So Japan is often used in these kind of examples as being a very highly penetrated, very very high monetization market. But the Japanese is clearly a very different society from broad Western society. So why do you think we will see those kind of patterns of usage in the West?
Yeah, so there are definitely differences between a market like Japan and the West, just like there are differences with Korea and the West and China and the West. And it's important to respect and understand those differences, but it's also important to remember that there are humans that live there, and those humans are the same types of creatures that we are. We are in the West. And so I think that you can build products that take advantage of our sort of unique facets as humans, and there's a lot to learn from what's happened in Japan and China and Korea. And I think we've begun to see some of those things happen in the West. We've begun to see some games that are starting on a per user basis to perform at a very high level. First we saw that from Japanese companies like DeNA that acquired ngmoco. Now we're starting to see it from companies like Machine Zone here in the West, and I think you'll see that sort of in an ever increasing number. I think the challenge is to make sure that the games that those systems are sort of put into are really appealing to Western gamers that are really good games that deserve their time and ultimately deserve their money.
So at the moment, the big hitting games in the West, or revenue-wise, are kind of the Clash of Clans and the Candy Crushes, like $1 billion kind of franchises. I mean, how big do you think games could be mobile games could be in 5 years as like franchise?
Well, I think the market itself can be sort of 8 to 10 times larger than it is right now, and I can imagine a future where a single game can generate $10 billion a year of revenue. And I know that seems like it's a really crazy big number, but it's kind of sounded like a crazy big number that any game could do $1 billion. And in Japan, I think it felt crazy that Puzzle and Dragons could reach that level, and then of course that would just be an anomaly. It would be the only one. Oh, now Monster Strike is at that level. So I think that there's just to me an inevitability to it, and the challenge for us is to find the right mix of kind of game design and sort of business model to unlock the full potential of this market.
Cool, good. Well, we look forward in a couple of years' time to seeing if your predictions come true.
Great,
Thanks
thanks.
very much.